What's going on, everybody? It is hashtag homeless, and it is day 78. Doing things a little bit differently today. I've talked about this more than once, but circumstances outside of my control. I am not outside, but I am in what is a soundproof booth at the Jamestown Public Library coming at you. And so the lighting in here, you might see that the video is a little bit grainy and it might be a little bit badly lit today, but the options are either turn on this light, which is also kind of not that great, or just do it in the dark. And so that's what I'm gonna do here. It's kind of a nice little booth. I'm sitting at a little desk here that you can, I'll see if you can, little desk that folds down from the wall. There's a couple of chairs, and there's a bunch of, there's like a power bank here with some outlets and stuff along this wall. And there's a thing to turn on a light and a fan. I don't know if the fan's not even turning on. Oh, there it goes. And so it's, but it doesn't really, I don't know, it does get a little stuffy in here, and just for the sake of the noise, I'm actually, no, I think that I am going to leave the fan on because it is a bit muggy. Hopefully that doesn't, I don't think that's going to have much impact on the sound quality of the video. And so that's where I am today. It's pouring rain outside, and it looks like it's just going to be raining all day. And I spent the entire morning this morning basically sitting and waiting and sitting and waiting and sitting and waiting. I had 2 social services types of appointments. Each of those were 5-10 minutes. But I've been sitting and waiting all day for, let's see, 8, 9, 10, almost 3 hours. So 20 minutes out of the 3 hours I was at the appointments, but the other time I've literally just been sitting around twiddling my thumbs. I couldn't even post memes on Twitter because I got banned. I got my account suspended from Twitter. We're going to talk about that in today's video. I'm going to jump right into the things that I wanted to talk about. And the first things, there's 2. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to, how am I going to start this? Okay, so I talk about this book that I picked up I started reading a long time ago. It's called Jesus Calling. The author is Sarah Young. It's a daily devotional about Jesus, and it's written in a tone of voice of Jesus talking to you every day. And if Jesus were sitting here in the chair next to me, what are the things that he would have to say to me today? And so for August 2nd, which is today, he says, "Bring me the sacrifice of your time, a most precious commodity. In this action-addicted world, few of my children take time to sit quietly in my presence. But for those who do, blessings flow like streams of living water. I, the one from whom all blessings flow, am also blessed by our time together. This is a deep mystery. Do not try to fathom it. Instead, glorify me by delighting in me. Enjoy me now and forever." And so the entire morning, I just told you I've been sitting around waiting, having absolutely nothing to do. Normally I would just go for a walk and record these videos, but because of the weather and the fact that I would get a bit wet just finding a bridge to sit under or finding a place with a roof to sit and do the video, I just decided to sit and wait. And then this Jesus Calling comes up and says how, we need to sit and wait. We need to sit and be quiet and listen to him. And, I can relate to this because as time moves forward, since I got released from prison, I find myself having a harder and harder time getting myself to just sit still and be at peace with God. I have this feeling because of the situation I'm in where I need to look for a job and I'm stressed out all the time. I keep feeling like I need to be doing something, constantly doing something. And if I'm tired, then I feel like I need to be doing something that I can do when I'm tired. Something simple that doesn't require heavy thought or concentration. Just do some grunt work. work, work, work until I'm too tired to work. I did that last night. I worked until I could not focus. I could not keep my eyes open anymore, and so I forced myself to go to sleep. There's days on Sunday where I just want to go work on stuff instead of going to church. I don't even want to sit still long enough to go to church. On Saturday, the last 2 weeks in a row, and including tomorrow, I'm thinking about going swimming at the YMCA. We can get free passes from the homeless shelter to go to the YMCA, and they have all kinds of stuff available, including a pool. But I keep deciding that I want to go try and find a job instead, or work on something, work on my portfolio, work on my graphic design projects, or work on my photography projects. I just want to do work, sit in front of a computer. Because I know I can accomplish something if I just sit down for 4 hours. I can usually set my mind to a task and get the task done. Or far enough along that I can say, okay, here's a good stopping point because this is a task that's going to take 40 hours to complete. So I get a sub-task done. So yeah, that entry was good for me because I really need to do what it says. One thing that you have plenty of time for when you're in prison is talking to Jesus. You got plenty of time for that. When you're locked in a tiny cage for 23 hours a day for a week, it's easy to find time to talk to Jesus. When you're walking around a track outside at the low security prison, early in the morning when nobody else is out there, it's easy to talk to Jesus. There's not much else to do. But when you get out of that place, the fast pace of the world, you really feel the fast pace of the world as soon as you walk out those doors. It kind of reminds me of that scene in the Shawshank Redemption when the old guy finally got out of prison and he went and got a job at a grocery store bagging groceries, and he was just so overwhelmed by the pace of the world and everything flying around him that he ended up killing himself. Just off the cuff here, it reminds me of an article that I read. I don't know all the details. I would have to find out and maybe talk to you about this again when I know more of the details. But there was a guy in a prison in Philadelphia. The prison is in the city. And he was sent to prison when I think he was 12 years old for murder. And he was in prison in Philadelphia up until he was 85, 90 years old or something like that, okay? Now, when he went to prison, people were still driving around in horse and buggies, and the automobile was barely, if it existed, it was a new thing that rich people were driving around in. It was not something that was common. 80 years later, he's released from the same prison in Philadelphia. He's looking around. The city that he knew is completely transformed. The neighborhoods are completely different. There's skyscrapers everywhere that didn't exist. He can't cross the street without people whizzing by and cars just boom, 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 boom. People are walking around talking on their cell phones and all of these things. And you do get a little bit of a window to the outside world when you're in prison because you can watch TV, you can read books. So, you're not completely sheltered from it, but I can't even imagine what that would feel like. Going to prison when you're 12 years old and almost 80 years later coming out and seeing how much the world has changed since the last time you saw the outside world. That would be so, at that age, that would be overwhelming enough to give you a heart attack on the spot. I could see your heart just getting overwhelmed with stress and boom, explodes. So I have so when I was locked up, I started reading this book, this monthly magazine called In Touch, and it's another daily devotional kind of thing. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Dr. Charles Stanley, and the organization is called In Touch. And so there are a few other daily readers that come out every month in the Christian world, but for some reason In Touch is my favorite. I actually like to read that one. A lot of the other ones I don't really get much out of, but In Touch just touched me for some reason. I just like the writing style. They go a little more in depth, and it just felt more relatable to me. And while I was in prison, I found out Dr. Charles Stanley is quite the prolific photographer. And that piqued my interest because somebody, a cellmate of mine, was talking about him and said, oh yeah, did you know because he knew I was a photographer, and he said, did you know Dr. Charles Stanley is also a photographer? And I said, no, I did not. And then I started to notice that all the covers of In Touch magazine are Dr. Charles Stanley's photographs. And I was like, wow, that's really cool to know. It's a nice, it like showed me that this guy combined his photography and his ministry together. And that started, like, the light bulbs started going off in my head that you could do something like that too. And maybe not in the same way he does it, but these are just, inspirational things that were popping up to give me something to look forward to when I was, sent out the door. And so I read today's entry in Touch because I've been neglecting that for a while. And like I said, I need to start taking time every day to just kind of sit back and listen to God and not feel like I'm in this rush, this mad rush of the world and chasing after the cheese, like a bunch of rats in a rat race, right? And so today's entry for In Touch says, how often do we evaluate ourselves based on our feelings instead of what God says? The problem is our feelings are constantly changing. I mean, that right there, I'm going to pause. That right there spoke to me from the first sentence because that's what I've been doing all week long. I've been evaluating myself based on feeling like crap about not being able to find a job. And then those feelings are constantly changing because I get a phone call about another job and I'm like, oh, I have hope again and I'm happy and I'm upbeat. And then I get another phone call saying, oh, that didn't work out. And then I'm feeling depressed and I'm feeling tired and I'm just feeling hopeless. And it goes up and down and up and down. And of course it does. Anybody going through this would feel this. This isn't like rocket science here. and so today's entry goes on. Maybe today is one of those days. It sure is for me. Maybe the car didn't start. Your boss has been breathing down your neck. The mortgage payment is due, and the money is short. Remember, Satan will do whatever he can to divert your attention from the Lord. When we direct our focus towards circumstances instead of God, we can easily miss what he is telling us. And so, this is speaking to me today. This is why I'm sharing it with you guys, because this is this is exactly what I'm dealing with today. Maybe I'm missing something that God's trying to tell me or show me because I'm too busy worried about these day-to-day things that keep coming up in my face. So it says, take a look at what scriptures say about believers. Today's passage calls us a chosen people, a royal priesthood, and God's own possession. And our purpose is to proclaim the excellencies of him who has called us out of darkness into his marvelous light. So how encouraging is it to know that we've been called into God's marvelous light? Yet unless we have help, we're unable to escape the darkness of our troubles. When circumstances seem unbearable, remember that you have been bought with a price. And that comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20. Wake up each morning with the knowledge that you're valuable to the Father, to your Father. Trust in his word, not your feelings, and allow the Holy Spirit to change your self-perception. So, and that's the end of today's entry, and it just, I can already feel it just because I'm sharing it with you guys. I feel this wave of everything's going to be all right coming through me right now as I'm speaking to you, because I'm sharing that with you and I'm also reabsorbing it myself as I share it with you. And so, I told you about how today was just, I was more or less forced to just kind of sit still. And that's what kind of led me to read these devotionals and to pray a little bit and to just try to close my eyes and meditate. And, even though this town is nothing but chaos, this room, where I'm sitting right here, this is the only quiet place in the city of Jamestown, New York. soundproof booth at the library. They had to build a special booth in the library, a little cage, if you will, so that you can sit and have a quiet place because it doesn't exist here. And so, I don't know. That's all I have to say about that situation. I'm going to get into the more... I don't know what happened with the audio on yesterday's video, but I noticed that right at the end, the audio just cut out. I don't know if it was a bug with YouTube or a bug with my phone. I really haven't looked into it yet. And I'm not going to because why bother at this point? But as I was saying, yesterday, they say, Elon Musk came and saved Twitter and now it's a free speech platform, etc. Baloney. I'm gonna try not to start swearing after I just shared all this Jesus stuff with you. So it's just, I'm gonna try. I got my first Twitter ban yesterday because of something I'm not supposed to talk about. And all I was talking about was how it's now okay for men to beat up women as long as you're doing it at the Olympics. So if you guys were hitting the refresh button for 12 hours expecting to see some more memes on the meme buffet, then I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. You're going to have to take that up with Elon, because all I did, it started out with some banter going back and forth about how it's okay for men to beat up women now because we saw it in the Olympics. We saw this guy show up and just beat the crap out of a woman. And then I said something to the effect of, well, if he gets the gold medal, he should have to do a cage fight with Mike Tyson with no ears barred and see how that goes for him. And because I think Mike Tyson can still throw down. He's and especially as crazy as he is right now. We've all seen how crazy Mike Tyson can be. And so in a cage fight with no ears barred, everything up for grabs, this guy isn't going to fare too well. Well, some people started arguing back and forth with me about that. And then all of a sudden, Mike Tyson gets into the mix, and Mike Tyson comes out and says he'll do a charity fight against this guy, and all the proceeds he'll donate to a battered women's shelter. And so I chimed in and I said something to the effect of that somebody was talking about how this guy's got another fight coming up in the Olympics. And I'm like, I hope that some bruiser, some big, strong woman, I got to be careful how I say it so I don't get kicked off of YouTube, but I hope that some big, strong woman wins the match against him and gets a KO in the match and humiliates this guy. And the way that I said it, instantaneously, boom, your account has been suspended. I'm talking the second I hit the submit button. So it was a bot-generated suspension. And they gave me two options. They said that I could file an appeal, but I looked into it, and filing appeal means that you sit there and wait for Twitter for 3 to 6 months for them to decide whether or not you were allowed to say what you said. Or you say, okay, I'm guilty. It's just like going to federal court. It's just like going to federal court. If you plead not guilty and you decide to go to a trial, you sit there for 5-6 years, and then maybe you get a trial someday. And then by the time you go to trial, you've already spent more time in jail than they were intending to put you in jail for. Or you plead guilty, and then they say, okay, here's some sentence, and after your sentence is complete, you can go back into society. So that's exactly how Twitter operates. So I took a plea deal from Twitter where in exchange for pleading guilty, my account would be suspended for 12 hours, and then I could have my account back, as long as I am very careful not to violate the terms of service yet again. So I guess I'm going to have to be very careful what I say. I thought, Elon Musk took care of this stuff, but, we all knew that was a farce. But I'm going to say that it's definitely better than it was before Elon took over. And I said numerous times on these videos that I'm doing, I'm going to utilize these platforms, these social media platforms, for what you can and can't do. I'm done trying to fight. That's not the right way to put it. I am no longer going to boycott these platforms because of the garbage that they're doing. Instead, I'm going to use the platforms to fight back against them, but I will use each platform to the extent that I'm allowed to use it. So when it comes to Instagram and Facebook, those platforms are so far gone that the only thing I'm posting there is photography. Pinterest, the only thing I'm going to put on Pinterest is photography. So if you want to see memes, you got to go to Twitter. Boom, X, whatever you want to call it. That is going to be the meme buffet. That is going to be Meme Central. I don't know if I'll ever start a Gab account again, because that's the other place where you can put this kind of stuff without too much repercussions. I don't know. I have to reach out to Andrew Torba with Gab. And I owe him an apology, to tell you the truth, because of what I did on that platform gave him a bad name and added to their already bad reputation. And there are other things that I need to talk about there that I'm just not, that's not for today's video, but I will talk about it. But I'm not going to just go and open up a Gab account and just start fresh and just pretend nothing happened over there. So that's on the back burner, but the only thing that I would ever post there is memes and stuff like that. Twitter is probably going to be the free speech platform until they're no longer free. And then if, like I said, if YouTube starts making me filter, and YouTube, like if YouTube decides to ban me today or put a warning on my video because I talked about the guy at the Olympics who's beating up women. Well, you know, if they ban me for that, then you're going to have to go to Rumble to watch these kind of videos. So I don't know how this is going to go, and I'm just taking it one day at a time. But I was kind of trying to, you know, yesterday I was thinking about it, and I'm like, since I don't have a job, like, how much money could I get for beating up women in the Olympics if I were to sign up to be a woman boxer? And if I could get the gold medal, how much money would I get for that? I think maybe I should look into that. You know, but I would definitely have to get permission to travel to the Olympics from probation. And I don't know how they're going to respond when I tell them it's because I want to go beat up women. I don't know if that's going to fly. So, but it seems like there's a lot of money in that. A lot of sponsorships, endorsements, and those kinds of things. You know, the Olympics, man, I haven't talked about the Olympics very much, but boy, those Olympics are something else right now, aren't they? So yeah, yesterday I was talking about being completely burned out. I emailed the references to the woman that I interviewed with for the crazy minimum wage job, where they're with the crazy hiring process. I did it. I filled out some other paperwork that I need to take care of. And then after doing the work for this YouTube channel and all of that, I pretty much fell out. Burn out. I mean, I didn't even feel like I could function anymore. And it was like noon. It was lunchtime. And, you know, this will happen once in a while. No, you know, I'm not beating myself up over it. It's just something that's going to happen once in a while. So I spent the afternoon getting the two photo stores in sync with each other. I decided to do something productive. So now all 11 photos that are available on Etsy at shop.litgood.com, they're also available right here on the YouTube channel. They're either underneath the video that you're watching if you're on your phone, or they are on your computer under the shop tab on the channel page. So you can view all the images that I have for sale up there. And then last night, after I finished that, I started the process of adding 9 more to the Etsy store, and I haven't added any of them yet because there's background work that needs to be done. There's a lot of work that goes into adding these photos to these stores. But 9 more will give me 20. And once I reach 20 on the Etsy store and I get the other shop synchronized with it, I am going to institute some sort of deal for my email subscribers. So sign up to that email list. It's the first link in the description below if you're on YouTube or Rumble. And if you're on TikTok, I don't know, man. The TikTok's a mess. That app is I cringe when I even have to upload a video to TikTok because the app is so buggy. It's such garbage. It's broken. Nothing works. It's a complete mess. It's a complete disaster. It's made in China. I mean, it's exactly what I would expect. There's no quality control. There's no oversight. I don't know how this app took off the way it did. I really don't. Being as trashy as it is. And I don't mean the content being trashy. I mean the app. It's a piece of trash, and it grinds my gears so much to use a buggy app like that I try to use it as little as possible. So if you're watching these videos up there, which I know some of you are, and I do see that some of you watch them every day, the problem is I click on the button there's a button that, like, I get a notification saying all these things happen, and I click on that button, right? I tap on it. 30 seconds to a minute later, the thing that I tapped on shows up on the screen, and then I try scrolling, and it's all choppy, and it's buggy, and then I click on something, and that's buggy, and then everything that you do in that app, I don't understand how you people are good with this, and you're cool with it. It's trash. It's like owning a car that doesn't work. It's like driving around in a jalopy that you have to start by... it's a stick shift that you can only start by putting it in gear and pushing it down a hill and pop starting the clutch just to get the thing running. And then for the brakes, you literally have to pump the brakes all the way to the floor because the hydraulics are shot and the brakes don't catch the first time you hit the first time you shove the brake pedal to the floor, nothing happens. But if you keep pumping it, eventually you work up enough pressure in the hydraulic system that the brakes will kind of work. That's what it feels like to get on TikTok. So I don't care about TikTok. I'm just putting the videos up there as a backup. So anyway, like I said, today I've got a bunch of social services and busy work appointments that I went to. And I just wanted to get through today. Tomorrow, like I said, I'm thinking about going swimming at the YMCA with somebody else who lives at the shelter. And even though I can get a free pass, and I've never taken advantage of it, I have a feeling all I'm going to do tomorrow is go sit somewhere with Wi-Fi and then work on things all day long. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'll take a break for a meal, bathroom breaks, walk around, and do that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just in that rut where I know that physical exercise is one of the best ways to deal with stress, and going swimming and wearing myself out in a pool, because swimming, man, there's no better way to get in shape, in my opinion, than swimming, because it works your entire body head to toe. It's low impact, and you really do. If you swim laps in a pool for half an hour, and tread water and everything else that goes with it, when you climb that ladder to get out of that swimming pool, you feel, holy crap, gravity is a real thing. You will feel like you gained 150 pounds and someone turned up the dial on the gravity machine on Earth, because all of a sudden you're just going to feel, whoa, especially if you haven't been swimming regularly. And so that is appealing to me right now. But I already know that I'm going to tap out, and I'm probably not going to do it tomorrow. But, it would be good for my good health. Thank God I have good health, because, if I had to rely on Obamacare, I'd be in trouble. Yesterday, I was talking about the healthcare system and how I think that, the healthcare belongs in the commons along with roads, bridges, parks, and other things that the government maintains and takes care of, because it's something that we all need to use. And to sit there and say that you don't have a right to be treated when you're sick, like the Republican mentality of, well, if you can't afford to pay for it, fuck you, go die. Well, that doesn't fly with me. And so immediately someone jumped into the comments section, and Joe Spangler 5299 says, "You're an Obamacare supporter now. Welcome aboard to Team Good Guy. Amazing how hardship makes people empathetic and liberal all of a sudden, huh?" And I'm like, hold on here a minute. I'm trying not to swear. I know I've let out a few, but I'm trying not to swear. When did I support Obamacare in yesterday's video? I mean, all that asshole Obama did was jack up the price of your health insurance premiums and then force you to buy it. Then the health insurance companies took away most of your coverage after raising the price. So how does that do anything to help with people having a right to health care? If anything, Obama took away your right to have health care. And then he says, Obama fixed a lot of the stuff that you said was a problem with for-profit health insurance. The law was handicapped by things like the GOP governors refusing to expand Medicaid, but it's kind of amazing in states where they implemented it. It's always amazing how much Trump guys are actually liberals on policy details. And I'm like, hold on a minute, hold on another minute. Because back when I had a job, the only thing Obamacare ever did for me was, like I said, it made my insurance premiums double, way more expensive, and it reduced the benefits to the point where the insurance doesn't cover anything. I have to pay for health insurance, and then if I have to go to the doctor or get anything done, the insurance doesn't pay for any of that. So why the fuck am I paying for health insurance if I can't even use it? It's like having auto insurance and then you get into an accident and the insurance company says, well, you got to pay for the damages because we're not covering it. And then on top of that, Obamacare says that I have to pay a fine if I don't want to pay for this garbage health insurance that doesn't cover anything. So once again, that's not what I was advocating for in yesterday's video, just to be clear. And here's the thing, I don't need to defend my position about Obamacare. I've said all along that the only people that Obama ever helped when he was president were the Obamas. I mean, how the hell does this guy afford a giant mansion in Martha's Vineyard right now, right next to the ocean that's supposed to rise 20 feet in the next few years due to all that global warming nonsense they keep trying to shove down our throats? Wasn't Obama a public servant his entire life? But yet now he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Where did all that money come from? But here, don't take my word for it. Let's hear what John S. IL1DR has to say. It says, 88 grand was my medical bill after a truck T-boned me and he was found not guilty. We need to upgrade our system. So how much did Obama help that guy? And then we've got Christopher John 611. I was back on my feet after a divorce and losing my home, and then a quadruple bypass and 3 strokes, and boom, 8 months in a cheap nursing home, and now I'm homeless. I'm lucky I got my disability, and I don't feel bad about getting it. So, how much did Obama help him? And then we got Michael Friedberg, 4619, 13 minutes in your video. Or so. Well, my aunt has a disease and she's pretty well off. She's 81 and she has decided to let herself go because she can't afford the treatment anymore. She still drives and plays tennis, but she's not fighting it either, other than working it out and etc. They want like $2 million to treat her. So yeah, this old lady's just going to lay down and die because she can't afford treatment for her disease anymore. How much did Obama help that guy's aunt? How much did Obama help her? And then we've got Meow Meow 1. I guess Meow Meow was already taken. Anyway, 3. I believe everyone has a right to medical care also. I was in the hospital for 1 week and the bill was in the 6 figures. There is no way I could have paid for that without insurance coverage. And as far as liberals, I am one. So that means we can't be friends. I'm like, I'm not even going to ask how much Obama helped him. He said he had insurance. He said that helped pay for his coverage. So I don't know. So one guy got some insurance that helped pay his medical bills. But the medical bills for a week in the hospital is in the 6 figures. But, and when I was in prison, when you get arrested by the federal government, to get a lawyer, to pay for a lawyer, it's $100,000 minimum, and that's just for you got to pay $20,000 to $50,000 up front just for them to come and see you in jail, and that's just for them to come talk to you for the first time. And that $100,000 is probably going to get you as far as your first plea deal offer, maybe if you're lucky. And if you want to go to trial, well, we're going to need another $500,000 from you. I mean, the system is fucking broke. So pretty much, unless you're a drug dealer who makes $2 million a month, you're stuck with a federal public defender for those cases. And then these public defenders are so the public defenders are so overwhelmed, and the federal government pays the public defender 10 grand to handle your case. The public defender gets 10 grand to handle your case, a case against a government that has unlimited resources and unlimited funds to prosecute you. And if you have any money, if you own a home, if you own vehicles, if you have any money in the bank, the government is going to confiscate all of that to pay for the public defender or the lawyer that they appoint to you. Even if they're going to take your home, they're going to take your vehicles, they're going to take your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, your stocks, anything that they can get their hands on, they're going to drain your bank account dry, and then they're going to appoint you a lawyer with that money, unless you have the liquidity enough to go out and drop 100 grand to get a lawyer to represent you. So, and this was a sidetrack, it's not healthcare. But this guy wanted to know, as far as liberals, I am one, does this mean we can't be friends? And of course we can be friends. Especially if you go and drop some bones in my virtual chicken bucket, or buy some fine art photography on shop.litgood.com. And that chicken bucket link, once again, is donate.litgood.com. Gotta find a good place to throw in the plugs here and there. That's all I'm saying. But even if you can't do that because you're paying off your 6-figure medical bills and 2 bags of groceries cost you $15,000 last week, I get it. It's no big deal. I see you showing up almost every day in the comments, so that means you're watching the ads and you're helping me get the big bucks from YouTube, and you're making smart-ass comments all over the comment section that drive the trolls to keep coming back over and over, and thus generating more views and ad impressions. So yeah, man, we cool. Meow meow. We're cool. So that's really all I had to talk about today. And I've had a late start for the day to begin with, so I'm just going to go through and, do the opposite of complaining. And once again, just go through the things that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the daily devotions that I read today that were just speaking to me and related exactly to what I'm going through today, and just gave me that peace of mind to say, you know what, it's okay to stop working for a few minutes and just sit and chill with God. In fact, I might just sit and chill in this quiet, soundproof booth for a few minutes when I hang up the phone on you guys, and I might just relax here for a few minutes and just do that. Thankful for the YouTube channel and all of you virtual friends and the possibilities that this is opening up for me. It's slow going, but things are moving, things are happening. I'm thankful that God intervened in my life more than once when I'm falling down, because that just tells me that any day now He can jump in and fix this. Thankful for my good health. I'm thankful that I can walk everywhere I need to go still. I mean, I see people every day. Who are crippled one way or another. And it just reminds me of, it doesn't matter. Nothing I'm going through right now is as bad as that. So I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful to be in the running for a few different jobs. I did find out that one of the software jobs was a no-go this morning. It was one of the ones that I actually updated my portfolio for, but it was a first-round interview. It was very fast. I kind of had a feeling that's how it was going to go, but I did make a good contact with a recruiter that seems legitimate, and I'm going to keep in touch with her, and maybe I'll be on her list of people that she reaches out to before she even posts the jobs publicly, and that's always a good thing. I'm thankful that I don't have to sleep outside, especially when I see a day like this where it's pouring rain all day. Those are the days that I sit back and go, okay, it's not so bad. Because I'm prepared to sleep out in the rain. I'm prepared to keep everything dry. I would not have a problem with it in terms of maybe just boredom, if anything. But I would be pinned down. I would be pinned down living under a tarp and maybe in a tent, waiting for the weather to improve, because as soon as you get out from under that tarp when you're camping, you get soaking wet. And then once you're wet, then it's hard to deal with. And so that would pin me down a little bit, and I would have to make the decision, do I want to get soaking wet and actually do stuff today and then have to live the whole day soaking wet and be soaking wet until I can find a way to dry off? Or do I want to just stay here and stay as dry as I can until the rain stops? And so that's what I would be going through, and that's really the worst situation during the summer months when it's camping. But we are into August now, which means August, September. I mean, we're like 3 more months and it's going to be cold outside. It's going to be freezing at night. So, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay at the homeless shelter before they say, okay, your time's up, you know. I'm thankful that I haven't gone hungry in the whole 10, 11 weeks, whatever it's been that I've been homeless. I think I'm on 11 weeks now. I'll have to look into that. I'm thankful that I have a phone, a computer, and equipment that allows me to keep doing this work. Even though, you know, I'm not getting paid, but I'm making forward progress. And I even had to talk with the people. There were people I had to talk with about what's going on today. And even this is kind of a segue or side trip that I wanted to talk about today. Even they were telling me, because I'm starting to come to the conclusion that maybe I will never be able to find another job for the rest of my life. That is a possibility, that nobody will ever hire me for any job ever again. That is possible. I don't believe it. And I think part of it's that I'm in Jamestown, and there's some other factors. And I think that if I just double my efforts, I'll find something. I don't believe that I'm locked out of the work world forever. But a lot of people keep saying, start your own business, start your own business. And that's not easy to do. It's not easy for me to do right now, having limited access to the internet. But my access to the internet and those kinds of things have been getting better, especially that I got this private room at the homeless shelter. And so maybe if I can pick up a freelance job or two that would put enough money in my pocket to go get an apartment, I could build from there, and I would have an apartment to sit in 24 hours a day and work from, with an internet connection and all that stuff. So, I am making strides now. I'm going to seriously consider starting. I've technically already started a business, looking for freelance work along with regular jobs, but I'm going to take a more systematic approach, looking for freelance graphic design, web design, digital marketing work for small to medium-sized businesses. And I have some techniques that I've looked into that other people have shared on YouTube that were really crafty, I thought. And put it this way, there's a guy on YouTube doing what I'm thinking I can do, and I can do it. Like, this is not out of my wheelhouse. It might take a few minutes. It might take a few months to get momentum going. But this guy was talking about how he's making $10,000 to $20,000 a month doing this one specific thing, and the techniques that he's using to get new customers. And I got to watch these videos again and take more detailed notes, because I don't want to do an exact carbon copy of what he's doing, but he had all these really good ideas for me in there. And it wasn't just one video, it was a bunch of videos, and I bookmarked them all to a certain private playlist. And so what I might do is put a series of videos together in a playlist and then make it public so that you guys can watch the whole thing and see all of it for yourselves. But right now I'm just brainstorming. I'm trying to come up with a fictitious business name for my new company and a domain name to go with it. And so I've come up with, I'm using AI, I'm using Google Gemini, I'm using other AI tools to generate ideas from and to help with the creative process. I've got like 5 or 6 names that I liked, but a lot of them were already taken. And one of them I really, really liked a lot, but it already exists. It's a design firm in Connecticut that's using the name right now. And so I don't want to use the name of a business that already exists. Like, that's not good. So, but I'm trying to branch off from that to see if I can I want to come up with something that I ultimately like better than the one that I liked the best so far. And so that is going to be something that I'm working on today. if the light bulb goes off, if the right business name shows up in my head, I will go get the associated domain. It costs $10 on Cloudflare to get a domain name registered for a year, and you have full DNS control and full access to everything associated with that domain name. Cloudflare is a great domain name registry. That is not a paid sponsorship. That's just who I'm using right now. I could do a whole show about picking a domain name and which registrar you should use and all of those kinds of things. That's a topic. That's a big topic right there. But anyway, domain name, business name, those are what I'm going to start with. Then I'll build a simple website to go with it. And from there, I have some techniques on how to possibly get some customers and to do it quickly. And low budget projects to where the size of a business that I'm targeting would not mind spending the money because they've got pockets full of money. Low enough that they'll probably say yes right away without like having to go through a whole vetting process and a whole I don't even know what you want to call it, but I think I can find a way, and because I'm doing this remotely, I can do this in any city. So I can target businesses around Jamestown, and then I can branch out and go to Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Youngstown, Ohio. There's Rochester, New York. And I can just keep circling and going bigger and bigger in New York. I mean, there's New York City. There's Syracuse. There's Binghamton, Ithaca, Utica. That's all in New York. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you've got the State College region of Pennsylvania, and you've got, like I said, Cleveland, then there's Cincinnati and Columbus. And I can just keep working my way around the country, targeting certain businesses and businesses that basically don't have any kind of online presence at all, and just reach out to them and say, hey, I can do this for you this cheap, and then for a monthly fee, I can host your website, I can do your updates, I can do all of these things for you. Let's work out a deal. And there was a guy, he was saying that he started making $10,000 to $20,000 a month in no time doing that. So, if I can do that, then why would I want to go work at Walmart? Why would I want to go work at a factory or whatever? If I can pull that off, I don't even think probation would mind if I was making that kind of money, because I can pay off my fines. I can put my life together. I can pay this. I can pay that. I can hire other people at that point in the game. If you're making 10 to 20 grand a month doing this kind of work, you're going to need people to help you, because that's too much for one person to do. So that's what I'm going to look at. That's what I'm going to look into. Let's see. And it's, that's what I've been doing my whole life. So it's not like I don't have the experience and the know-how to do that. I have been resistant to try and do something like that, but my circumstances have changed a little bit over the last few weeks, and I feel more comfortable because now I do kind of have a space of 2 or 3 spaces I can set up and work more hours in the day. And I feel like I can meet deadlines easier. And I do have a few more resources that I didn't have a few weeks ago. So, like the local library, which I'm thankful for. And let's see, I have a small church that I'm attending, and I think that the people there seem like they care a lot. I'm going to find out this weekend if they, because they got my contact information and they all know my last name now. So that was either a ploy so that they could Google me and find out whether they want to kick me out of church or not, or they want to actually hang out and get to know me and get to know me. And I think it's the latter. I don't think it's the former. I don't think they're looking for a reason. I don't think it's that kind of church. I really don't. I'm thankful that I haven't had any serious problems with the probation department. I do have to try and find out what's going on with this move to Texas, but I'm also being patient because I know these things take time. I'm thankful for my good friend and his wife who are offering me that opportunity. That opportunity would open up the door for me to really jam and get clients, Houston-based clients, Austin, Dallas, Oklahoma City, all the New Orleans, all the cities within a 5-hour drive of Houston would be available to me, plus, all the cities back home. And doing this work remotely, it does not matter. Sometimes people that you reach out to are going to want to meet someone face to face, and that's just the way it is. But the whole wide world is open and for the taking, and there's no reason I shouldn't be able to find a handful of decent clients when there's a whole world full of businesses out there to pull from. And so there's that. And maybe I will check into the Fiverr and the Upwork and these other platforms. But first of all, you have to pay to be on the platform. You have to pay them to be the lowest bidder. So I've already had to pay to get a job that's a $20 logo design job, and then they're taking a cut of the money that you make. And so at the end of the day, I'm making like $3 to do someone's logo, and it just isn't worth it. But I will look into those a little bit deeper, because I think there are opportunities on those platforms that are worth looking into in terms of the amount of money that they would pay for the amount of work that they're asking for. But the problem with those platforms is they're hyper competitive. And so it's the same thing with these resume sites like Indeed and LinkedIn and every place else that has a place for you to send your resume to a job. You're competing against 500 other people who sent their resume in for the same job. And so when you're opening a business, one of the best ways to get business for yourself is to remove your competition. And I don't mean that in the sense of like how a mob boss would remove the competition by going over and breaking someone's legs or burning someone's restaurant to the ground, or the things that the mafia does. No, I'm talking about finding a niche or finding a way to reach out to people who can be your customers and your clients, people who are looking for what you have to offer, but people who aren't getting hounded with 500 other people coming at them. And so there are ways to do that. There are ways to do that for my job search as well. Using the technical recruiters is one of those ways. Making a relationship with a good recruiter. I feel like I met a decent recruiter this week. Yeah, she told me today that the position was filled and that I'm not in the running for it, but she left the door open to potentially work in the future together. And typically with a recruiter like that, if they get you a job and you do really well and you come highly recommended, you're going to be the first person on that recruiter's list when they need to fill a new job, as long as you aren't already working for one of their clients. And that's happened to me more than once. So there are ways to remove the competition when you're looking for a job. A lot of times it can be just researching and going to find companies that you might like to work for and trying to do some homework and reach out to people. That happened to me here in Jamestown. I reached out to the director of a well-known national thing here in Jamestown, sent a resume to that person, and within like 2 months later, they're calling me, asking me if I'd be interested in working for them, and they ended up hiring somebody else. But the point is that I don't think they had very many people that they were vetting for the job, and I think the main reason why I didn't get the job is because the job position was a junior level design position, and my resume and the years of experience that I have show that I'm a senior level design leader. I've had, leadership roles in big companies, having people reporting to me versus, being at the bottom of the ladder reporting up to somebody. And so they look at that and they say, well, it's just like being a master chef trying to apply for a job at McDonald's. They're not going to give you the job. They're going to tell you you're overqualified. And so I think that covers the job stuff that's going on and some of the things that I'm thinking about working on. And so as I build my own company, quote unquote, I already have a fictitious business name and a domain name to go with it that I'm using for my job search and my resumes, but it doesn't speak to the customers that I want to reach out to. The name of the business would not make sense to the people that I want to market to. And so I need to come up with a name for a business that resonates in those people's minds. And more importantly, a .com domain name to go with it that's easy to remember and short and sweet, and not some long-winded thing full of dashes and numbers or made-up words that don't exist in the English language, like so many businesses are doing nowadays, solely because of the fact that there's a shortage of .com names. So, speaking of .com names, once again, my mailing list, the email list to keep in touch with me that I will use to reach out to you when I'm banned from all the platforms, that is free.litgood.com. Sign up and you'll get some wallpapers to download for your phone, some photography. And if you want to buy something to hang on your wall, the place to go for that is shop.litgood.com, or you can just check the shopping tab here on YouTube, or look at the photos that show up underneath the videos when you're watching them. If you click on any of the photos on the YouTube channel, they will take you to another store, but it's set up just like Etsy. It has the same products, the same prices, and the same content as the Etsy store, and the photographs come from the same print lab. I chose a platform called Fourth Wall because they give me the freedom to use whatever vendors and however I want to deliver the products to you, they let me handle all of that. A lot of these other platforms, they do not allow me to handle that stuff the way I want to. So, as preppers always say, 1 is none and 2 is 1. We've got the photography website, litgood.com. I'm going to actually probably work on that a little bit today. I'm going to optimize the image sizes so that page loads faster. And so you can actually see all the photographs without burning through your bandwidth limit for the month. No obligation whatsoever. Just go check it out. If you do see a photo that you like a lot, something speaks to you, you want to hang that photo on your wall, and it's not available in the shop, just let me know. There's a contact form right there. It will take me an hour to add that photo to the shop. And I'd be motivated if you told me you want it. And then if you decide that you change your mind once it's up on the shop, because I get it, everyone's broke. We're in the middle of the FJB economy and times is tough. But, down the road, if we ever get some people who come in and get this thing fixed to where we can afford to buy groceries again, then visit the website and you can put something that makes you happy on your wall and lets everybody know that you support this channel, that you helped a homeless guy get off of his feet by putting this fine art on your wall. And once again, if you don't want anything to hang on your wall and you just want to throw a few bones in the virtual chicken bucket, that website is donate.litgood.com. And I'm on the social media platforms, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, and my Twitter account is unsuspended for now. Hopefully it stays that way. Facebook, Pinterest, and I think there's some other ones. I know I set up a BitChute account, but I haven't put any videos on it yet, but it's just another place where I'll back up the video channel. And with my professional world, you can find me on LinkedIn, very easy to find. And if any of you professionals want to connect, I actually was talking about yesterday about meeting my connection goals, and somebody connected with me on LinkedIn. It was actually a personal friend from an old company I used to work for. That put me up to 50 connections on LinkedIn, which is still pretty low. I need to get it up over 100 before these HR people will leave me alone and, basically stop treating me like I'm worthless. I got to get that number up over to 100, so that's my goal right now. But at the pace that it takes to find connections on LinkedIn right now, I gave myself 4 months to reach that goal because I think it's going to take 4 months to get 50 more. So, unless you guys are on LinkedIn and you want to, I'll be posting photography there and that's it. No cringy business stuff, nothing. Photography, that's it. I'm not posting business cringe. There's enough of that on LinkedIn. I'm not contributing to it. And so with that, I think that covers everything that I had to talk about today and then some. And we're at an hour. And if I end this video right now, I can upload it to TikTok without breaking the 1 hour limit. And so I think I'm going to do that. and I will talk to you guys tomorrow unless something goes terribly wrong. So I hope you accomplish your goals today and that everything today goes your way. And until we meet again tomorrow, peace out.